little bit more advanced than what I normally cover, but have you ever gone to order when you buy medium? Like I said, you always go in and buy the same size. Try it on, it does not fit medium. And here, this thing, looks like it's a small, feels like a small. Well, that's what happened to this young lady. She got this dress, and it turns out that it would not shut in the front. I've already taken some pieces out of it, but that's as far as it. I mean, on either side, it would only go to like here. So there was about 4 inches up here, because the manufacturer, when they made this her size, they didn't account for that everybody's not a perfect medium, are they? I know I'm not. So what I'm doing is print, because you can't find it because she doesn't live in it. It was made in Indonesia. So the way this is made, you don't want to mess with the buttons, because heaven forbid you want to take the buttons off and add something in the front. So my goal is to make this look like it really wasn't altered. That's always my goal when I do alterations. It's like, I don't want anybody to know I did anything to it. I want it to be so minimal that they're like, you had that altered? Where? So fortunately, this design has 2 pieces for the front. You have this panel here that hooks to the buttons, and you have another panel that hooks to it to outline the bust line, and then attached to the back. Best place to put an inset, on the side. So I'm going to show you all how I came up with this little inset right here, because she's a fuller figure gal and she was bigger through here. So there's my 4 inch there. It's 4 pieces, 4 pattern pieces basically. Now I know you're all going to go, oh gosh, I have to take it apart. It's okay. You're not taking it all apart. You're just taking certain parts out. So what I did, since I knew, and what you want to do is you don't want to disturb. If you ever have a button up front like this, you don't want to disturb the buttons. Just don't save yourself a headache. What you do is the part pieces, and you just take your seam ripper, and you take that piece out. Now all you're doing is extending it a little up to be able to go out. I know that makes no sense. I'll show you the piece that I took out. This is that section that I took out. And if you've ever worked with patterns before, now I could have attached and then just made the extension on the side, but I didn't think about that. And I thought, well, it's going to lay a lot better if I take the whole thing out. Took a little more time, but it will look a whole lot better. So I took that out, and I made 2 strips of the material she gave for me to cut out, and I attached them. Now, to measure this, to make the alteration, you have this piece. I'm on a camera angle just a little bit so you can kind of did was I laid it down right side up. And I put it like this. Now you're going to say, the reason why it's done this way is you start from the waist, you work your way up. In order to move out, you have to elongate it. Then this dot here is to match the other piece, and I'll explain all this in just a second. That goes right here. Okay. So now you see this would have been the piece normally. This one piece should have been this big, or actually to here, because this is added to the back. And the reason why I say that is you have to follow the lines of what's there. Now this is after I put the one side together. Okay. Here's the original front. This is the original front. This is the inset I put in. And in order to make this work, make it be able to stretch it out, you have to remember I'm increasing the waistline, the bust line by 2 to 4 inches. You have to move the sleeve. Because her torso is bigger, it draws it more forward. So that half shape gets attached where the sleeve goes. This is the one that's attached to the bust piece. Now, if you may have a piece of clothing, you may have a sewing pattern very similar to this design. If you already have a pattern that's already like this, you just whip that pattern out, lay it out, put the piece you already have on top of that pattern, and draw a new pattern to your size, and then put it back in. That would have been easy. I just did it, the measuring and laying it out. Make sure you have a nice a nice hard flat surface to lay these out so that you don't have any puckers when you get done with it. So the first thing I did was I took out the piece that I was making bigger, making a larger, bust size piece. Took that out. Then I took the fabric. She also gave me like a lightweight stretch, and it doesn't stretch very much. So I used it as a lining from the front to the back, where the back meets, for my new side seam. So I created a new side seam, basically what I did. Because I want, and that's why dressmaker forms are great. If you don't have the person right there, you take your measurements, make sure that they're accurate, and then you lay it where it's supposed to lay. So I took this dress and I put it where it's supposed to be first. So step one, the item that doesn't fit. If you don't have a dressmaker form, you have the person put it on, and you have them put it on where it's supposed to fit, and then you can mark where what seam you need to take it out. This makes it super easy, and you can get these real, and all you're going to do is add to it or take away. So I lined it up where it should be, because what was interesting about how this fit was it fit button-wise. It would button up until the waistline. The waistline was not it was not fitting. So if you have a dressmaker form, or if you don't, and you are tired of paying someone to alter your clothes, and you've got some savvy, I'm sure a lot of you are very smart, you can figure this out. But if you've made clothes for yourself before, and granted this is already made, it's no different. You just don't have the paper pattern. You've got a pattern right here. It's in the fabric. So you put it on the form, and you let it hang. And when I did this piece here, which is the same as this one right here, is the one that had to come out. Now, because I didn't want to miss the buttons. I cringed at that. So when you do that, when this has to be made bigger, even though it's across here, it has to come up somewhere to be able to be it. If you don't come up here and you left this down here, this is not going to work. And the sleeve is not going to sit where it's supposed to sleeve. This is the kind of sleeve that you can wear on the shoulder or off the shoulder. And I wanted to make sure that that was retained. So that's why I did it this way. And this is the part that I took, side that I took it out of. I kept the shoulder attached, move that sleeve. Not moving it minimally is by adding this half moon shape, or looks like a facing shape. That's how that. So we are going to take the original piece along with the side panels, the front side panel and the back side panel, and we're going to attach it to this piece right here. And that is, I always have to double check myself. That is on the downside, downswing. So what you're going to do is here's sides together. There's my dot to match up the half moon piece that goes right in here. Okay, that goes on next. They don't go on the same time, individually. So you're going to do like this. Put that side panel there. Then we're going to stitch this little bugger. And then we'll put on the half moon part. So I almost forgot when I was first doing this to start from the bottom, work my way up. And I had to take it out and put it back in because I threw up. And I need to make an adjustment here because y'all can't see. That's a little bit better. That way I can show you a little bit better. I stuck this thing on my head because it's hot. So Now we're going to attach this. It's going to look kind of off. That's pretty much okay. That's just how it goes. I always start with my needle in the fabric. This way, it kind of like locks it in. So, put that there. It'd help if I make it even. Now, the great thing with this 4-inch, depending on the construction or how tight you make your stitches. And I'm using a seam guide foot on this machine just because I want it to stay consistent as far as width goes as I go. Just to make sure you don't mess it up. And like that. Now I do not have my serger set up with white thread just now because I am still working on wetting things in the green, and green and this white would not go well. So now I put the 2 panels like that. This is just extra length, and I did that on purpose. Like I said, I didn't actually draw where the sleeve gets attached, goes on. Again, right sides together, and I'm matching up my dots that I created on this thing. So this goes, yeah. I want to make sure that I lined up, but it's not really. Kind of in a weird way. Slide around way too much. That thing's silly. Like that. And that fact, since I made this idea up, to have it actually work. So, like that. And I'll show you when I flip this up, before I actually stitch it, how it all makes sense when you see how it lays. Go that to the edge. Now when I took this apart, it only had about a 1/4-inch seam all the way through, which meant there was a machine that's trimmed it to the minimal, and then it overcast stitched it. So that's another reason why I try to retain that same mode where the sleeve goes. When you're pinning it, it doesn't feel right. It feels like, wait a minute, it's fighting it. No, it's not. It's just you're making it do what you want it to do because you need to do it. And it's always fun when you come up with a way to solve a person goes like, how did you do that? Now I do have to take a wet cloth before she picks this up to get there's a temporary marking pen marks on this. The glue that you saw, yeah, it's not permanent. It's permanent anyway, but I abhor those little wax paper sheets, and Taylor's chalk is just like, no thank you. Now you'll notice I haven't where the seam is for the 2 side pieces, and I go just on the other side of it. It's only like you're missing, like, just serge everything right there individually and not have to worry about something jamming up. So this little guy does not want to sit, so I have to slide around, and it does. this way. In place. And to the end. And now you can, when you're using like another material for the backing, you can like stitch it. You don't have to. I did when I did the first one just because I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. And it surprised me. Lovely. Lovely job that it did. Let's keep moving. Yeah, let's just slide around. There are some slippery fabrics that can knit's one of them. Knit and satins, they will slip around. Okay. So now, piece that looks like this, or two. But this is the new piece that goes in. Yep. So now you have to put it in dress back where it was. So we're going to take this off and have to mentally remember, start from the bottom up. Don't pin from the top down. We tend to do that. At least I tend to do that. Forget and go, oh, I don't know why I do that, honestly. So here's where I left the big gaping hole, and I'll show you why. I'm starting from the waistline, and I'm going to pin it right. Got my pins again. Pinning that bust line pattern piece or section, even with the bottom. I'm not changing the bottom hem at all. I'm changing the waist size, yes, not the bottom hem. And that comes across there. I accidentally took out a few extra stitches, but that's no big deal. And then putting this here. So I want to make sure that it ends up where that sleeve is in the proper space. I'm just pinning it back along the waistline. Again, right sides together. I had sometimes trouble with zippers putting them in backwards. That's when I know I'm tired and I need to like just put it away, wait till tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. Get some sleep. You can sleep when you got a wedding coming up, right? Okay. Now, one of the things that I look at when I do, and when you do, that's something else, let me tell you. Now, the one thing I didn't do on this was open up the side seam on the top of this dress. I was so focused on getting the inset made up and put in that I didn't do that. So now I have to, I have to go and open this up underneath after I finish pinning this part. And that is where the waistline comes into play. Because her waist is larger, I have to open up that side seam, as I created a new side seam with the piece I just made. So the side seam has to be changed. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this stuff. Well, I didn't think I could either till I just started diving in. And it's really not that hard. Just take your time. You can do anything. Yep, all kinds of different pins in there, and they keep, wrong one keeps coming out. I got some new pins, I just haven't broke them out. Okay, around this line. Because this didn't change. We didn't change the arch part of the bodice front side. Nope, didn't change it. We changed the length, but not the shape of the top. So this is where you get to detach the sleeve. I don't take the sleeve off the thing until I know this is sitting right where it's supposed to. So afterwards, yeah. Because all this is going to reposition the sleeve just a little bit, just to make it fit the new shoulder area. Okay, So I put my new piece that I made, pinned it in. I left this back side open because this is going to be the new side seam. Center of these two pieces is your new side seam. The sleeve normally stops here. The sleeve now has to attach to this piece right here at that point. So I have to detach it. And I have a seam ripper somewhere. And there it is. You know, it works. As long as it works, I'm happy. And I think she'll be happy. It's for a special event, so I want to make sure that it's done right. That's where if you do it for other people, even for yourself, having a dressmaker form that goes to your measurements and a little bit bigger or maybe smaller is a big plus. It saves you a lot of headaches. A lot. So I took that off of there. And some of these stitches at the end of these are really tough little buggers. I mean, you can only imagine. And you just have to be careful that you don't stab the elastic and pull it, out of its little casing area. And the sleeve is detached. Woo! Scary stuff. So now, when it comes to this, I'll use it, but I'm not worried about it. So now this, okay, myself. All right. And what helps with something like this, honestly, is being able to just kind of lay it down on the table, and then when you go to attach the sleeve back to it, I've got myself backwards. You're going to be able to position it right because this is going to go here. I'm going to turn that down. Anyway. All right, I'm having pins stab me somewhere. I don't want that. Get over there. Yeah. So it goes to where it was, basically. And turn it down, put it back where it was, because it's still. So what I did was I just put it in front. And I'll show you the back of the other one. It works. And then this portion gets attached to the sleeve. But in actuality, I did the sleeve last. So we'll do the sleeve last. That way it makes more sense. And that is because we've got to open up the side seam, which I did not do for that fact. There's another piece that we add to this. And I want to stab myself in. Oh, I did stitch that right. I had to double check myself. I didn't stitch that one. Why didn't I do that? Oh, I was pinning it. So from the bottom up. So we need to stitch this side. That one in there. I hadn't done that yet. Thought I did. I'm trying to skip a step on myself. And this one here. And I'm not going to do the waistline yet either. I've got it pinned so far, but not until you get that side seam opened up. So we're going to do this, the bodice front size. Double, triple layers of material under here. That's that guide foot doing that. Now I've made these pretty close stitches because it's a stress spot. around the arm, that area, and be susceptible to if you want to do, a second row of stitching, you can. And when I finally do get this, like this. I get tickled when things kind of like come together like that. And I'm going to go this way. So it goes so far. And up, see there. I'm running into where the sleeve goes. Take that out. Yeah, like a lip free eventually comes through. It's stuck in the foot. All right, being mean. Oh, there we go. Got that out. And those guys. Got it. Now I got the side seam taken out. As you can see, it is now back where it belongs. Back sewed in. And I just need to take the pins out. I just sewed that thing in there. And pin. And this one. That one. And this little guy. Okay. Now I just need to take out the side seam, the original side seam. I'm going to take that out. Then I can put in the base piece. That was really interesting. I came out with this one. I laid it flat, and I had the two pieces that created the new side seam. And they stop at the waist. Expansion. Bigger from the waistline up until the hips. So did that with just took a scrap of the material, cut it like a rectangle, about 4 inches by 3 inches. But I didn't want to come down any further, because if you come down any further than that on an A-line design like this is, it doesn't hang right. It messes up this line of the dress. So do like this. And I'll show you that piece in just a second. I'm just being very careful because of this top layer. It's very delicate. Very delicate. And there we go. Come on. Sometimes you get lucky where you have some loose stitches and just gotta yank on it. Opens it up. Into crunch time. Okay, there's that string that was in my way. And if you can get a gap in it, you can kind of like find the stitches you're looking for. Really gotta watch for fine fabrics that are lightweight like this, because they can be kind of tricky when you're trying to get the stitches out. Ah, made headway. All right. I got past the surged part. So now I can get to the regular. And there they come. Takes a while, but you don't want to miss. There we go. See, I have 2 layers of fabric too, so I have 2 lines of stitching. I got a lining stitching instead of them being separate. Just makes it easier. Just makes it a wee bit easier. And da-da-da. I mean, they're pretty intense. These favorite, just like grab one and pull it. Not on this one. Not on this puppy. I'm trying to be real careful with it. It pulls very easily. There. Once you get the hard one, the rest of them kind of like follow in line. Okay. I think that's about. So what I did, when I knew that I had this 4-inch item, I just went and took 4-inch piece of the lining and the outside material, and I laid them flat to see how far down I was going to need to come. So put this chair on the floor and see. So that's my waistline. I'll move down just a little bit. And out that far. 2 inches on either side. So that piece will fit. So you're going along the waistline and you're putting basically a 4-inch inset to widen the waistline. So that's why you need 2 inches on either side of your center side seam. And that's why I'm not sewing the waist as yet. Not yet. As Mr. Miyagi would say, not yet. So you pin that there as soon as I get the outside piece loosened up. It doesn't want to let go. It doesn't want to let go of its stitches. It's funny, the second time around always wants to give you trouble. That's the first time. First one's like piece of cake. Second one, give me trouble. Give me all that headache. Just like this. And I'm coming down about 2.5 inches or so. Because if I come down any further, then the hip line's going to disappear. I don't want that to happen. Because she said, fits fine on the hips. It's just the waistline's kind of iffy. Okay. Whew. All right. Side seam. Right here. And I'm going to here. Now you recall we're only so this goes to, where'd you go? That here, there. you take out the underarm of the sleeve as well. That's because it's got to go across the person's back. So that's what I had to do. I had to undo the sleeve under here. And that's what I needed to do over here. So you're leaving the sleeve intact except for the back. So I take the sleeve out, and this piece right here, because I'm going to make the sleeve fit to it. The original piece. Get from the waistline to up. I'm going to do it pins this way. Just like when you're constructing a top dress or whatever. What do you put in last? The sleeves. So same thing here. We're reconstructing the side and the waistline. And then we put the sleeve back in. So that becomes the new side. And picking myself again. We want to have low by taking out that side seam. And I can't, this is just so many stitches in this darn thing. Once you've done that, the little inset piece, again, you're going to do right sides together. You want to pin the top part to your new, and I'll show you the finished one. Like this, you go across that 4-inch. That's another reason why you do 4 inches. It ends up being about 4.25 inches. See, you pin that square, which ends up being the point at the bottom, across the whole thing. Then paying attention to the open gap on the other side. See, that's the other side. You can keep it flat, and you match all of that up for it. And the extra part that's hanging off from you, so stitching it across there, you just trim it off when you go to serge it. But you want your triangle to look nice and neat and like it was always there. Just like this little guy. And here at the bottom, what you're going to do after you do those 2 seams, you're going to stitch right up to it and then tack that. And when you do it like that, you end up with it looking like this on the outside. So it all works. And the one that I did finish, I have to get like really busy here, is right there. So I have this piece, this. When that's finished, so even though I haven't completely sewn it as yet, so you take this around now on this little nail. Once it's sewn, it will. Oops, I got pins sticking to me. Come on. the button, that top button right now. Even it's not like finished stuff. But see, this dressmaker form is just a little bit too big for her size, so I was using it as a way to judge it. But this now button for her, or before, I had 8 inches. So as you can see, adding those insets does make a fit. I just have to adjust the seams. But this has been my Please Make It Fit tutorial. I'm going to finish this up for time's sake. It's too small. There's always a way to make it fit. And she did a really great job finding the fabric that fit. So I got to give her points for that. So I'm going to finish this up.